One thing about phones is the frame rate on the screen needs,
That's right.
but you have to have that for it to come out good.
Yeah.
On the big one. Sorry, that chair, mate. I just want to frame up this camera quick. This one here. Take that off. It's too dark, that is. Because that background's so bright, it blows this one out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, I'm just going to restart the live. So back onto the live. The reason I'm restarting it is just the timer will be longer then. Right. Okay, sweet. Coffee's good as well.
Yeah.
Here before, mate.
A few times.
Okay, cool. Right, are we cooking?
We are cooking. Yep.
Okay.
That's all good.
Wage slavery. We're back. We're talking about how we can get out the 9 to 5. Wage slavery. We're going to be talking about how you can escape, but most importantly, we want to dissect how does it actually happen. And in today's podcast, we're back with another one with my good man Jason Greystone. But before we get into the nitty gritty of diving into how does wage slavery even come about, let's talk about what we've just done in the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely smashed the most monstrous leg session.
Yeah.
Well, it was a leg session, wasn't it? It was like compound.
Yeah. No, it's good. Really good.
It was
I thought the whole podcast was how do I lift that much on my leg?
Yeah, it's not about wage slavery. It's actually about what we've just done in the gym.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're in a nice, settled, calm, collected state of mind. So we're going to dissect some slides. We've got them behind. You'll be able to see them. And the purpose of today's video is to actually break down how the cycle happens. We've done a lot of videos about how to get out, ways of making money, the mindset. We've done a lot, and we've gone into quite literally between the two of us now on podcast. We've done hours upon hours. So if you haven't yet watched our previous podcast, please do go check them out. But the purpose of today is how did it happen? And for anyone who's younger than us, you might be able to use a video like this to actually avoid the mistakes. So let's kick it off. I'm going to read out the first slide and then we'll dissect it and we'll jump straight into it. So,
Go for it.
where did this start and how did we not notice it until it's too late? Really common where people get to a certain age and then they go, where the hell has my last 20 years gone? What's happened?
Yeah.
How did I fall into this cycle? And this is the breakdown of it predominantly. Parents' beliefs is number one. So you grow up knowing and believing what your parents believe, right? And there's been a big shift in information over the last 10 years. Specifically, there's been a big change in information that we have access to. You go into infant school, which lasts 5-6 years. Then secondary school, another 5-6 years, potentially longer. You then go into college and university, and then you end up typically in a 9-to-5 job. So you actually have 15 years of what I call indoctrination before work even begins. And that's very much a systematic follow, don't question, don't make mistakes. If you do fail, it's a bad thing, and there's typically some form of punishment. So let's just start around parents' beliefs. I know you've spoken a lot about this, and you have a lot of knowledge in this area.
Yeah.
How does someone take the yin and the yang, the A and the B, and make an informed decision at such an early age? And my question is, can you really make
It's a tough one, you know. When you're being indoctrinated, you don't know what you don't know, and I think half of it is what you're told and led to believe, and based on all of this, some of it is what you don't do as well, because you don't know about it, right? So, for me, I fortunately had an experience when I was just coming up to my 14th birthday, where I remember, you know, they always used to sit on these kind of block of steps on our flats, and all the mums would kind of moan about money. They had this negative view towards money, and the only reason I picked up on that, because you probably wouldn't pick up on that, but the only reason I picked up on it was because at 7:30 this guy called Roy used to come and collect everyone's money and do a syndicate lottery, and then for the next 10 minutes everyone would be like, oh, my life would be amazing if I won this money. And I remember thinking, this is so weird, like they've just been saying money's horrible, or moaning about money and saying it's the root of all evil and all this kind of stuff. Rich people are greedy, and then for the next 10 minutes they'd spent like 10 million quid in their head, like, you know, and the smiles on their faces and everything. I remember thinking that was really weird. And it was when I did the car wash and I realised that actually, you know, you can delegate and get people to do things for you and still get more money if you use money the right way. And I think I was really fortunate to have that insight, because I had no aspirational peers. Like, my parents thought money was bad. My mum, my stepdad, it was all kind of money's evil. For anyone watching this, I just want, like, if you're young or old, you know, the truth is money is just there for fair exchange, and that's all it was created for. You know, it was there as a bartering system between two value systems. I value this, you value that. How much is it worth on your values? It's worth this much. How much would this service be worth? Yeah, it's this much. And okay, that equals £5 or £10. That's really all it is. And how we've come to this point where people see it as evil, or you're greedy if you've got money. I mean, I was speaking to someone the other day, literally said, to get to the level of like Richard Branson and all this kind of stuff, I can't help but think you had to do someone over. And it was like, that's not how it works. That's not how money works. Like, money works by providing service. So, you know, we're kind of going off on a bit of a tangent, but my parents' beliefs were, yeah, it's bad.
Do you think? So looking at this, and I suppose imagining what people might be thinking, watching, is that it starts at a very early age. I think once upon a time you wouldn't have had any way of really figuring out your own path at such an early age, but I feel now, where there's so much information, like if I look at my parents now, they're so informed about money, but just because there's such a sheer amount of information out there. Also, like Gen Z, they are more money conscious. I think that's quite apparent.
Definitely.
But in the early days, if we're going back 30, 40, 50 years, I don't think they had a chance, really, in terms of knowing too much about how to create their own income and thinking outside the box, because that's all they knew. And then infant school, if we just move on to infant school, that again, the way that works is very, it's the beginning of herd mentality, isn't it? I don't like saying that, because, I mean, we've all been through school, but it is very much kind of, you know, like a lot of people, when I think of a classroom, I can't help but think of the whole sheep in a pen, you know, like being put in sort of a confined area, and then the beginning of, right, everyone, you have to do this, you're allowed to do this at a certain time, and it's that you start learning to obey almost. Again, is there any way for people listening who younger age can avoid this?
Yeah, I think just to kind of cover off what you can do, because if it's parents, if you're either a parent listening to this, or you're struggling yourself and you don't want the same to happen with your kids, you know, it's language around money. You know, language. My parents used to say that's a rip-off. You know, that's a rip-off. That's a waste of money and all these kind of things. You have to be really careful with those languages, because that is how you act when you go out in the world. It's like, instead of saying that's a rip-off, you can kind of rephrase things like that, like, how is that company able to charge that much? You know, that's great. It must be a great company. Must have a strong brand, and just having a different perspective. And then in school, infant school in particular, this is what I think this is what's missing. So it's not what you're told to do, but it's what you're not told to do. And for me, it's like goal setting, understanding what your purpose is, and like how to discover your values in the first place. Because by the time you're 7, your values are pretty much shaped, you know, and you can find what you're inspired by at that age. But I don't remember doing that, do you?
No.
Or goal planning sessions.
No, and you're never asked what makes you happy. You're always asked what do you want to be.
Yeah, what you want to be. Yeah, exactly. Which is a future.
And that is from such an early age. That is where the moulding happens.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, there's a bigger picture here, because young people have a brain, you know, and a mind like a sponge, right? Everything is absorbed. So if you hear someone say something over and over again, you're like, well, it must be. So again, you are either a parent or you're going through this, and again, secondary school, very much a similar thing. There's this big emphasis on you have to make sure you get your GCSEs, and again, we're talking about all of this in the modern day and age,
and in hindsight as well.
And in hindsight,
I've been through it. I've been to high school.
Yeah, because GCSEs, quite frankly, I mean, they don't really mean much now.
No.
In the grand scheme of things, that paperwork. And then, of course, you move on to college and university, and you know, we've discussed this in depth, where some of the most, I wouldn't say despised jobs, but some of the most, I wouldn't say hated either, I would say some of the most unhappy jobs, resented jobs, and where people can feel quite bitter, are doctors, lawyers, teachers, especially teachers. I mean, my God, I've got an example I could talk about, but those jobs there that we were told to really push for end up actually being the downfall of a lot of people's mindsets and bitterness, and you made me do that, and I did it because of my parents.
Well, they did it because at infant school they were you're asked what you want to be. Now you feel bad that you don't know what you want to be. Secondary school, you've got that amplified because you've got exams coming up and a pecking order of people in the playground trying to bully you. And then by the time secondary school comes, you're just trying to please your mum and dad. It's like, well, I'll just do what they want me to do because I don't know what I want to be, so I'll just go with what they recommend, because that's all you've got to go on. Which is why it's so, like, the parents' beliefs is so damaging sometimes.
And what you said earlier, we're going to come on to a slide very shortly, which is about be very, very careful of who's whispering in your ear, because that again can lead to your own entrapment on who you listen to and what they believe. And then ultimately most people end up in a 9-to-5 job, and again today's podcast is to discuss how you can avoid it, and then options that you do have to start changing your life. And again, that's a whole sort of breakdown of how the indoctrination happens. Now the next slide is something you just touched on, how beliefs are formed. So I'm really fascinated in this kind of stuff, because I actually had a conversation with my dad. I won't say the individual he had a moan about, but someone came up on the TV. I went round my parents' house, right, and my dad went, "Oh, he's a right plum." And I don't actually mind the guy, because I have an informed decision. I've taken the A and the B, and I've kind of made up my own mind based on my own due diligence. And so I said to my dad, I said, "Why don't you like him?" "Well, he's just an idiot, isn't he?" I went, "Yeah, but why?" "Well, your mum was saying the other day that he's..." And I'm like, "Dad, you're such a classic case, you know, like I love my dad to bits, and he's actually going to watch this." But I just knew that he hadn't formed his own belief about it.
Yeah.
So
there's so much of that now.
there's so much of that. So you need to be very aware and conscious of this. So let's have a quick recap. Lies most people end up believing. You're lucky to have a job. I've heard that one a lot. That then convinces you that, well, quite frankly, you are lucky to have a job. So, you know, I might not like it, it might not be what I wanted for my life, but I'm lucky. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day actually, and someone asked me something similar about this sort of question, and we were talking about how much money I could have and investments I could have, and how much, you know, you could be worth, and all this kind of stuff. And I said, all of my worth and everything is my ability to go and serve someone to get money. So my skill, my work ethic, like I could lose everything, and tomorrow I'm worth as much as I'm willing to go out and serve people, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really care about the job or the money and everything, because I'm certainly not lucky to have a job. I'm lucky to have been born in a time where I've got so much abundance, where I can pull on these tools and resources to instantly serve lots and lots of people. As long as I've got that work ethic and I've got some knowledge, I can go and serve people. That's what's worth the money.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need money to do that. You've got it from like day one.
Yeah.
So I don't feel luck comes into it at all, other than the fact that I'm born in this time.
I totally agree, and you've said some things that are also built into this. Jobs provide security. Well, I saw you put out the clip yesterday on Instagram. I've been watching a lot of Dr. I think he's Jordan Shapiro, a post-Labour economy, and I've really been learning about what that looks like in the next 2, 3, 4 years, and it's very apparent that this is happening. When people are still going, no, it'll be all right, you know, which is mad. Anyway, that's towards the end of this podcast. We will touch on a little bit of that. Yeah. Business is risky. If you hear enough people tell you that business is risky, you will still think that it's big bank loans, it's having a warehouse, it's having staff, it's a lot of outlay, it's a lot of overheads, which is financially crippling. It's not.
I don't, honestly, how is it riskier if you're more in control? Well, I just don't see how that's riskier. Riskier is putting your life in the hands of someone else who just makes up the decisions, and Amazon just laid off 14,000 staff.
Yeah.
That's risky.
Do you know, there's a guy called, and it'll be plenty more.
It'll be much more.
I mean, look at the, who was it? It might have been the CRO, or I can't remember who it was, some big high-up person in Google sent out literally, and this was public, you can go see the email.
Post or something.
Yeah, like 25,000 staff saying, adopt and learn AI, otherwise you're out of a job.
Yeah.
like literally saying, we're not joking. And so, you know, there was a guy called Dr. Roman Yampolsky who said, entrepreneurs don't take risks.
No.
This is the thing. This is the misinformed information that's out there. Is that it's really risky. Yeah. Everything is calculated. I mean, it's scrutinised. Yeah. I would go as far to say scrutinised, where you literally look at everything until you make a decision and go, I've made this as bulletproof as possible, and as watertight. And now I'm going to make a calculated decision. Yeah,
I guess there's a high percentage of entrepreneurs who just have an idea and they go and start an idea and plough a load of money into it. But that's a stupid way to do something. You know, you don't need an idea. You need some demand, and it's really easy to find if there's demand now and build something with confidence. And that's what sensible entrepreneurs do.
Do you know? I went digging for numbers on the percentage risk of businesses failing in the first 2 years. Mm-hmm. It is nowhere near as what used to be, and it does irritate me somewhat. So, 90% of all businesses do not fail in the first 2 years. It's an old number; it doesn't exist. That's totally fabricated. That's living in the past. So most businesses now, there's about 35% of businesses now that are built whilst people are still working jobs. That's the average number. It's now between 10 and 15% of businesses failing, based on that 35% being built whilst working a job, which I would recommend to everyone, because that is the best way.
There's no other way of doing it, really.
All that requires you to do is put in more time and effort, and that's what people don't like. They're like, oh, I've got to work a job and then I've got to go home and work my 6 till 10. Yes, because that is the way you mitigate it, and you fall into 10 to 15% of businesses failing. So the risk is very minimal. Mm-hmm. What if you fail? So this is, again, people in your ear saying, yeah, but Jason, what if this don't work?
I know. What if it does? I know, I say that jokingly, but there's so much negativity out there. You can find it everywhere, right? And everyone's looking at the worst case scenario. Try and look at the best case scenario, you know?
Yeah.
Just try and, every time someone says, well, if this happens, that happens, what's the best thing that can come out of that? And start asking yourself that. I think, you'll get rid of that.
You know what I said on a live stream recently, and I did it in some content recently. I said I challenged someone to spend a week with me, and that I wouldn't brainwash them into believing that they could do more.
Yeah.
And that just really reflects your social circle is such a big part of it. Because what if you fail? Well, you went for it.
I know.
You haven't got the regret of not thinking. You know, it's like Holder. I've got to be honest with you. Like Holder for me is like an absolute monster. Yeah. Even I sit there sometimes and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, you haven't got a clue.
I haven't got a clue, but I don't know. This is such a monster for me to tackle. But do you know what? I remember sitting in my lounge thinking, if I don't try,
you'll definitely won't.
And it will eat me up.
Yeah. And
I don't care if I fail because I'll tick the box.
I think that just there's a lot of I'll just say on that, the internet's great for like, we've got awareness of things, right? There's like, you can raise awareness for certain things. I'm all about campaigning for lack of awareness, less awareness. I just want less awareness. Like I was fine when I didn't know that there was a country being bombed, and I was fine when I knew that there was like, just worry about you. I watched the series of dinosaurs. Have you seen that yet?
I haven't. No, I know it's out.
You'll realise how tiny, insignificant your life is if you watch that. Yeah. And we're talking about phases between 4 million years later it evolved into this, and 10 million years later it evolved into that, and 160 million years. We're here for 80. 80 years.
Max. That's max.
What are you doing?
That's on a good run as well.
I know. Don't worry. Just you've got 80 years to just live your best life. Be as selfish as you can and watch. Go and serve loads of people and focus on yourself. You'll have an amazing life.
This is why we're so aligned, because selfish. Like, it's fine to be selfish.
Yeah.
Like, make decisions for you. Say no
for
to
you.
people.
That's what I mean. Do things you want to do. Serve people by doing things you want to do, and you'll get paid tenfold.
So before we move on to the next one, I was asked the other day. I've been asked it many times, but again, it came up on the podcast about, do I not worry about speaking my mind? And I put it like this, is that I sleep comfortably knowing that I'm heading in the direction that I want to go, doing the things that I want to do, and I don't compromise who I am. I don't compromise who I want to be, because then fail, succeed, whatever it is, I know that I did it on my terms.
Yeah.
And I was happy, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part that people are missing, is that, and again, tying that into the workplace environment, is that everything is out of a place of fear or scarcity or demand that I need to do this because I'm in survival mode. And when you actually take a step back and think, am I actually happy? Like, I've got a great title, but am I happy? No. Is my missus happy? No, she's miserable. Are the kids happy? Not really. We go on a nice holiday, but I'm not present.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when you go on holiday, I know you're present.
Yeah.
As am I.
Absolutely.
I'm present.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about. And I just want to say, it's an important part to say it, because I brought this up on a very short piece of content, is that it never comes down to the amount of money that you make. You make far more money than me, but we're still sat here as equal human beings. Yeah. It makes no odds how much I make or how much you make. Yeah. We both have the flexibility and freedom.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's it.
Knowing your numbers. I can't stress it enough. We'll come on to it.
If I want to buy something, I'll buy it, but I don't go out and spend. All my money is just how much time I can buy into the future. That's the biggest expense, and then after that, I might want a new guitar, and that's it.
Bingo. Simplicity. Humble in growth, that is. Honestly. Yeah. Save for your mortgage and pay into your pension. Classic lines. They're still hanging about, those lines. The only thing without a mortgage is basically signing yourself up for a hardship. I think now, the landscape of property has changed so much. And paying into your pension, going back to what you just said, that is another way of giving away control. And there have been so many pension providers, I'm not going to bore you with all the numbers, but so many pension providers have liquidated or collapsed due to many different reasons. But essentially what you're doing is you're saying, well, I can afford £50, I'm going to put it into a pension provider that's been supplied for me, rather than going, well, I'll open up my own stocks and shares ISA where I've allocated a fund, or I've chosen my fund, and I'll control that money and I can liquidate it when I want. It's little things like that you have to be careful of, and then never question or push back against the hierarchy. What do you think about that? Because this is something I was not good at in my 9 to 5. It was really fucking bad.
Why? What did you do?
I never did as I was told.
Right. Yeah.
So I was on the hit list for a long time.
Yeah, never push back against the hierarchy. I mean, I think corporate, like maybe one of the things on that first slide should have been corporate businesses. I think corporate businesses destroy entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Like they squeeze it out of you because you're so in a safety net, like a cushion of systems where things take ages to do. Where if you're on your own, you can do that you could do a project in a week that might take a corporate a quarter. Seriously. And the level of risk, your appetite for risk, it's just all wiped out as a result of being part of these corporates. But pushing back, you should ask questions. And I've never been in a corporate business, so I really don't have a place to say. But
you know what it is with
I don't believe in hierarchies of people.
I don't either.
I've never had a title or anything like that. I remember even when I had a bricks and mortar business, they wanted me to get business cards, and I just refused to put a title on it because I just can't. It makes me cringe.
Titles allow people to take an ego stance.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
If you want to see problems as a result of titles, go into the NHS. Where everything is about band F, band E, band C, and they talk to anyone below them like absolute crap. It's like the worst hierarchy, and no one's pulling on the same. No one's pulling in the same direction. Everyone's lost track of what the NHS is really all about. And
my mum can vouch for that. Yeah, my mum can vouch for that.
Right.
The other thing, I did a video the other day, and I explained it, and it's mad. Do you remember when I sent you? Do you remember when my dad got attacked by dogs? I think I sent you those.
Yeah.
Like, think how crazy. It never really hit me actually that at the
Hang
time.
on a minute, was it dogs or was it one dog?
It was dogs.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the Dobermans.
Right.
And what didn't hit me at the time was my dad worked his entire life and could have died on the job.
Right.
Like, that never hit me at the time.
Right.
And I thought my dad has given like 18 years to that particular company.
Mm.
They didn't give a hoot about him. Lost like.
Was it postal service?
No, it's like couriers,
Correct.
delivery,
Yeah.
delivery, like pallets and stuff. And literally never checked on him. Didn't help with his legals, nothing. And had it have got his neck, it'd have been a goner.
Yeah.
It was all over his body and everything, but just missed his neck. And then that would have been on the job. And he'd worked his entire life. Wouldn't have liquidated anything at the time. It's just mad.
Yeah.
Having a job comes with perks such as health insurance. This is a common one that I hear, mate, where people say, well, the thing is, I would like to work for myself, but I get too many perks with health insurance. I don't get this one. I have this all the time. But believe it or not, this is a really common one for me. I'd love to work for myself, but I have the health insurance. I have private health insurance.
Yeah.
I just pay, it's
pay.
anywhere between £30 and £70 a month on average. I don't get it.
I find it bizarre that health insurance is something that I'll do it if it's a perk, but it's not your primary investment. Your life should be your primary thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So get life insurance, but focus on making so much money or being worth so much that the life insurance is almost irrelevant anyway. But definitely get life insurance, regardless. You don't need a job to do that. Don't see it as a perk.
I've never got that one, but you'll be surprised the amount of times I get the health insurance one. Let's run through these other ones. If you need more money, then work towards a promotion or do overtime. You need to know that overtime, really, the math isn't mathing because you're barely breaking even, basically.
Yeah.
A slight top up, but you lose time. And then promotion, I'm not going to go into it because I've done deep dives on this, but again, it's golden handcuffs and a shinier cage. You have to, again, what you talk about all the time, what do you want from your life? Like for me, and I know it's very much similar for you, it's about that flexibility of being with family and with who you want, when you want, at any given moment without permission. That's basically it. And if you can achieve that, you've pretty much won and cracked it in life. Promotions really restrict that. And again, this is just awareness. This isn't saying to you, don't chase a promotion if that's what you want to do, but it is a restriction of movement and flexibility.
I think the massive misconception here is that if you work time for money, you're limited to how much you're ever going to earn. If you understand that income is directly correlated to output and outcome, then you start to see that there's no amount, there's no cap on what you can earn. So NHS, a nurse might make 30 grand a year or 38 grand a year or whatever. Rafa Nadal earns 4 million or 40 million a year, right? And there's an argument that he doesn't save lives, but he serves more people. This is it. He serves more people, yes, at a lower volume of ticket price, but that's what income is. It's the fairest thing based on how many people you serve. And that's it.
You've literally just summed it up.
That's it.
That is it. It's
serve more people, make more money. And we've got the internet now.
Distribute more.
Yeah.
Again, there's no secret here, by the way. What we're saying, this isn't like hidden information that you have to watch this particular podcast. This is freely accessible to all of you.
Yeah.
90% of businesses fail. We've done that one. You can only make money if you have money. We don't need to cover this off too much. It's not true.
We sort of said that at the beginning anyway.
It's an old school theory. You don't need money to make money. And then finally, hard work leads to success. in some respect, yes. Working hard for yourself in the pockets, good output, smart leverage. But in terms of physical hard work for someone else, you know, again, the saying of if hard work led to success, the donkey would own the farm.
So on those 2 points, there's a real good example of leverage and smart work where you don't have to have a lot of money to earn more money, and that's what Coca-Cola did when they just started putting names on Coke cans, right, and Coke bottles. They didn't pay any more for that. They just printed the labels with a name on it, and all of a sudden they're raking it in even more money because people are sharing it. People are sharing them and tagging them and like buying them for people and all this kind of stuff. So that's a great example of smart work, leveraging like skills, not spending more money but making more money. You don't need money to make more money.
Yeah, marketing is such a huge part of cracking the code.
Just be clever. Yeah.
Honestly, marketing means money. So there we go. We'll move on to the next slide, which is titled here "Little 9 to 5 Porkies," as I've called them. So let's rack these off, right? That was a good impression. So the workplace versus modern business. Again, I refer to modern business because I want you to remember, and for those people who will have a bit of a pushback against what we say, is that we're not on about traditional physical businesses. We're on about modern, you know, lean and scalable. Working hard in the workplace versus working smart. Those are the two differences in how we operate now to what would have been in an employed environment. So I used to see people, I mean, I've obliterated his name now and I've done too many videos on him, and I know the guy's actually seen the video. So Steve, I'm really sorry, mate, but you've given me so much material over the years.
We love you, Steve.
We do love you, Steve. Is that Steve was truly used and abused. Steve was given another Adam's apple, basically, and he was a hard worker, and he never progressed. He never went up. He was in early. He stayed late, and it was quite frustrating to see because they really took the mickey out of him. I saw that from behind, and in the office, I saw that they really took the mickey out of him. Modern business is about working smart. You know, it's not about working all the hours in the day, is it? There's a big difference between the two. Anything on those, you know, the working hard or working smart?
Yeah, I mean, they say about, we've touched on kind of, if you want to start something on the side from your business, it's about working 5 to 9, right? 5 to 9 in the morning, before work, 9 to 5, like, and then when you get home, 5 to 9 in the evening. You know, those 5 to 9s are the ones that are going to give you the extra 8 hours. And you can really organise that time, or that 1 hour that you've got, or 2 hours that you've got, to really pack a punch by focusing on moving the needle, high profit actions, things that are going to actually start bringing you in money. And yeah, I mean, how do you, we could be here all day talking about strategies behind that, but just not scrolling, not getting lost on things that are low value, basically. Don't do your cleaning, don't do your grass.
Yeah, yeah.
As our gardeners out there
the garden around.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I'm actually very domesticated, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I left my job I realised I actually needed to let go of how domesticated I was.
Right.
Like I grew up with my mum always cleaning.
Yeah.
I've always cleaned. Like I clean as I go, and I found very quickly I needed to not do the washing, not do the dishwasher, not do the hoovering, and I'm just very proactive in those areas. I needed to leave those to move my priority tasks at the beginning of the day, and all that stuff can wait.
Yeah.
And funny enough, just for everyone listening, is that once upon a time I actually used to think, why do people get cleaners and gardeners? I used to think, because I used to enjoy it, whereas now I have a cleaner and a gardener as well, because it does remove 3 hours of time doing the garden. Plus it kills my back now, to be honest with you, like pain in the backside. But
not as much as that workout.
Yeah, that workout was a destroyer. We absolutely killed it. Now, chasing promotions versus chasing freedom. I don't need to explain that, self-explanatory. Retire at 65 and 70 or retire ASAP. And when I say retire ASAP, it just means you're in a position, like you are now, right? You're in a position to do everything that you love around the way that you want to run your life, rather than having to really drive towards that retirement age of 65.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done anything for about since 25. I haven't really pushed anything, done anything online. But my time now, just going back to what you said before, my days now are spent going to the gym, and then I make food. I make my food, and we cook the food, and we sit together and eat food. We talk about food, talk about nutrition. My days now are spent, like, I clean this studio myself because I want, this is my space. So don't get that misconstrued with like trying to make it, you know, because if you're trying to make it, you need to be really smart and really prioritize your smart time. But once you get to a position where you can do whatever you want, then it doesn't matter. You can not work smart anymore, right? I don't want to work smart anymore. I want to chop my salads. And there's something about putting your love into your food for me now. I'm at that point in my life where I want to be healthy. And
well, you've cracked it.
Well,
and I think a lot of people realise that with you now. Like, you know, a lot of wealthy
well, you can't
people,
fake it for that long, right? Like,
you can't.
Yeah, eventually you've got to go work, but I don't do anything.
But everything, isn't it funny how we work to make money, but really you want to end up on that cycle where you end up having the money to look after you so that you can live longer and enjoy life.
Yeah.
That's really like cracking the code. That's, you know, everything we're talking about, it all comes back to that one thing.
Yeah.
Health and longevity, and being authentic. And then work family or real family. I did a video on the way up here which actually failed miserably, so I'll film it on the way home, is that I do know people that quite literally committed to the work family, but there was a common theme with those types of people. They didn't have what I call true perspective.
Right.
So for me, that was having my son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you have someone bigger than you that I now live for,
Yeah.
it's bigger than everything.
Yeah.
So it's that all-encompassing purpose for me. I do know people, or did, shall I say, that were very driven by work family versus real family. I could never fathom. I just never could get it. I don't know about you, but I never really understood that.
No, I mean, as I say, it might be different in corporate, but I had my son really young, and that drove me into.
How old were you when you had?
20. I was 22 when we found out I was pregnant. 23 when he was born.
2 years older than me, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a real shifter. But at work, I've always just thought I'm going to do my best at whatever I do.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to develop the work ethic.
Yeah.
That was my primary focus. Then when I found out I was going to have my son, I was straight into my own thing. Like 23 years old.
There are a lot of benefits. You can mould you as a person. Like, there are a lot of benefits to working a job, and actually I do think it's important to expose you. I think if you don't expose yourself to both sides, you don't have the full picture.
Yeah,
whereas I think it's good to go, oh Jesus, something like that.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking, it's not going down well with me. I'm not keen on that.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't like that. But okay, we'll move on to the next slide, which is take it back or give it away, your choice. This is something I'm very passionate about, is not giving away control. Now, it may already be out because my editor Mac, the lovely Mackie Poo, is already editing it, so by the time this comes out, the video will already be out. I did a screen recording. I put out a video of some clips when I went to London. I always do it, and it blew up. I did like 168,000 on YouTube Shorts the other day, thousands and thousands on Instagram and TikTok.
Of the rat race.
Yeah, and it's clips. And I also did one when we were at Horizon 22, and I took loads, and I put that together. That did a few million combined.
That was my big launch.
That was the big launch. Always
Always free.
And it always has a very interesting response, right? Because you can't lie. So people everywhere on the tube, London Bridge, I took all different footage going up the escalator and stuff. And it's quite interesting, and it scares me a little bit, and I did a video about it, and I screen recorded, and I had all these comments, but weirdly, I had about 30 all in a row. And it's people going, I get it, but what's the alternative? How? What do we do? What's the alternative? It was the same comments from different people. That really scares me, because I think, like, are you spoon-fed for everything? And there's a great saying, you never feed national park animals food. Because if you do, they lose their hunting and survival instincts, and then they expect.
Although we always feel.
Yeah, we've actually been out today feeding. But it does scare me. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. That's just me. Because that's the way that I am. I'm very self-driven to know what I have to do. Like, if I don't know something, I don't need someone to tell me, well, why don't you go and learn? And go get some of the free resources and then teach yourself.
I think it's the pain has to be great enough to really start to realise I need to seek alternatives. And a lot of people think that they've got that pain, but they haven't. They're still comfortable.
Yes.
You know, the pain isn't painful enough that they're gonna then go out and, because everyone will do it eventually. When the pain gets hard enough, when the pain is painful, you know, enough, they will do it. Everyone's got a threshold. Everyone will start learning what you've learned or what I've learned or whatever. They will do it at one point. You've got that already there. It's just how painful does the situation now have to be? And I mean, everyone has to wake up now. If you're going to work in an office just to work at a computer, that is alarm bells. You know, if all of your work is just on a computer right now, I've got 2 AI agents in my office. They're full-time members of staff. They work 24/7. They don't sleep. And I just WhatsApp it. And I say, can you sort out this holiday? And it'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, can you do all my admin? Can you do all my bookkeeping? And it's doing it, right? So
I'm really glad you said that, because the video I'm filming on the way back, on my notes, I'm talking about 5 lessons, and I think it is lesson number 3, which is fear and consequence, and you've hit the nail on the head. And for all of you, this is a reflecting moment for you to think about, is that I've spoken with thousands of people now on one-to-one levels, whether it's a discovery call or a webinar or, you know, whatever, and there are a lot of people that don't want to work a job, but it doesn't mean they have the capabilities to then build something for themselves. It's just that most people don't like working a job. It's just the truth of it. But you just hit the nail on the head, and for all of you, please listen into that. The fear and something that scares you that has a big enough consequence, that is the difference. That is what drove me.
yeah.
I went back, I did a vlogging kind of video. I went back to my old warehouse, the first place I ever worked. And I actually went back and I showed the warehouse that I worked at, the exact spot that I stood on, where I made a phone call after going through this horrific grievance, where I basically rung up my behalf and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out. I know nothing about business, but I am getting out. And because I had little man, was the only income. Mum and Dad aren't leaving me any money. They got nothing. And I had this drive, and you are right. It's that fear. It's that driver. And until you get that, you'll keep asking. You won't be forced to go and seek the answers.
That's right.
So you've hit the nail.
I think it's crazy. One of the craziest things I think is people get their work laptops, you know, and they go home and they do work, and then they take this laptop into an hour and a half commute and walk across London Bridge, put it in an office, and they open it and they do all their work from the same laptop. It's like, just go home and do it.
Yeah.
Like, why have you done all that? Like,
It's mad.
Yeah.
Well, we try not to move.
I have moved. Yeah, I haven't left my house.
You moved less than I moved.
So
Mate,
we're gonna that drive's gonna run out. So I'm gonna switch the drives.
Cool, I'm glad you said that. We'll pause that because then I can reset TikTok as well. Right, folks.
So we're just gonna swap the drive.
Listen, everyone. I'm gonna restart the live. So the reason I'm restarting the live, just so you all know, is because when I sit back down, it will time out. So literally come back onto the live and it will be again.
Nice one in there. Gosh, where was that? We're on again.
Okay, so let's go through some of these points, because try not to give away control when in fact you actually have control of 90% of what you think you probably don't have control over. And the great thing about these slides, you can't deny it.
No.
Like, this is why I like to do slides, because when it's in front of people, you can't deny something physical. And you know, if you're just talking about it, you kind of write it off. So let's just go over what people believe. You know, in fact, let's have a look at the externals, right, which you don't have control over, and then we'll go on to what you do have control of. So the government, don't worry about it. You said it earlier. I don't want to know about what country's being bombed. That's just the God's honest truth. You have to remain in a bubble of protection in order for you to get things done again, in a selfish way, and that's not bad. Other people's opinions, other people's behaviours, being judged by others, your boss being misunderstood, haters, trolls, people's belief systems, the corporate system, the past, the news, we avoid the news like the plague, and AI takeover, which we'll touch on a little bit later in this podcast. Those are things you don't have control over. Anything to add to what we can't control?
No, I think you control your perceptions, your actions, and your decisions, and that's it. They're the only three things we can control, really. So yeah, all of that sits within that inner circle. Everything on the outside, don't worry about it.
Yeah, literally, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
And then what you do have control over, which most people give away power. Again, I think with humans there is this lack of accountability, which leads to, well, my life's because of this, and the person I once with, and the divorce I went through. The job you do, you control it. You don't like it, go get another one. Your boundaries. This is something I feel not enough people have. You have great boundaries. I've got some really good boundaries in place. Your physical health, well, we've just smashed that. Your success. Well, on the physical health, you were talking about, eating clean, preparing your food. Success, that's down to you. Your knowledge, again, you have access to everything. Your attitude on life, your values, your social circle, the money you make, your mental health, your belief system, your future, and adopting AI. Two, I just want to touch on with you. Your mental health. What is your take on that you're in control of it? I have very strong views on that because I believe there are components, and I just need to remove trauma. Past trauma I'm removing, removing trauma. What's your view on controlling and having control over that?
Being less aware of everything. So when you're less aware of all that stuff on the outside, your mental health is skyrocketing, because the only reason that you're losing, or your mental health is fluctuating so bad, or it's taking deep dives, is because you're letting all these things on the outside tell you what's true.
Literally. Yeah.
This is why I'm talking, I joke a little bit, but the reason I say I'm campaigning for being less aware is because now we're more aware, the mental health is through the roof.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that some war was happening, you'd just be going about your walk, and you just wouldn't know,
Wouldn't have a clue.
So your fear is starting to, you're getting these fears develop because of all of these anxieties, because of these things that you're thinking might happen, just because you know about things now. If you didn't know about it, your life would be completely different.
I went to the spa the other day with my mate, and we got in the pool, and he said, "Oh my God, did you see that video of the F-18 American pilot avoiding all those missiles?" And I said to him, "Mate, that was gameplay. It's just that they use it, but it's really it's a high grade resolution PC game. I can't remember the name, but it is a game." I said, look at the smoke stream, and it's all people are sharing it and saying, "Oh, God bless America," and people buy into it. And the amount of AI stuff that's out there. I mean, I'm getting fed up of it. I've got to be honest, which is why YouTube. This is valuable because we're here for a long period of time. This can't be replicated. You're absolutely right. Get rid of all that. Your mental health will improve. Adopting AI. I'm actually building something quietly at the moment, which will be announced in the next couple of weeks. I have had to adopt and learn about it, and I'm actually I've got to be honest, I'm quite getting into it now.
Right.
I was a little bit like, I've got to learn about it, but the more I'm learning about it, I feel like I'm good about it now. I feel how I can use it to my advantage. What's your take on that when it's such a big part of life now?
Yeah, so I'm using it, I suppose I am using it a lot, but just to do the stuff that doesn't inspire me really. So if we're using it for administrative tasks, but we're just kind of slowly building it layer upon layer. So first of all, we'd use ChatGPT to kind of do admin like prompts and things like that, emails and all that. Now we're using the AI to actually just go and do the job. So it's like, I told you that thing, you go and do it. So we're slowly doing that. And all it is just removing anything from my team that they're not good at, or they don't feel inspired to do, and getting AI to do it. So it frees them up to do more of what they enjoy. And That's it, really.
So I've got to ask, when you were doing the lunges with 40k,
Yeah,
was that
was really
AI
me.
doing
That was really me.
That was you.
That was really me.
Oh, you didn't put in a prompt because I have no idea how he was lunging with 40k freaking bulldog. I'm sure there's more. That's mad. So yeah, look, just stay in control of again, control the controllables, right? You actually have a say on your life more than you think. Stop being afraid is the next slide. So the word and what it means. We touched on this earlier. So let's debunk all the scary stuff out there. Building a business, right? What does that actually mean? Independent money. That's all it means. Just making your own money. I think when people hear the word business, they run a mile because they think of all those things that it was associated to, and the headache and again the risk. But my take on it, as I put it in there, I just called it independent money. Have you got anything to add on that one?
I like independent money. I just think like a business is just basically the title given to when you're fully in control of the service you're providing, as opposed to getting a paycheck because you've provided the service to someone else, and they're getting a cut on it.
Easy summary. That's it. We're just simplifying it. Social media. People say influencers. There'll be people that will say me and Jason are an influencer. I don't like that terminology, but technically we do influence people, but that's not the title of it really.
I influenced you on them lunges, didn't I?
You did influence me on those lunges, yeah. And we did it in a thong, by the way, as well, which was really interesting. I don't know what your gardener thought. It was mad. We were making some noises.
And then we come out saying my arse hurts.
Jason's gardener was like this. And Jason went, "You're right." He went, "Yeah." Off he went. Is social media. It's just free marketing. That's all it is. It's just marketing.
Oh, it's just a platform to be creative. Like
It is just marketing, and predominantly a business is built from smart marketing because it gains attention. The next one is content creator. What does that mean? That means you're building an online business. You're creating content. So just put it in the term of what it is. Creating content, which is marketing, leads to building an online business. Don't overcomplicate it. And then finally, the title that is thrown about left, right, and centre is entrepreneur. I just call it a free thinker, just someone who outside the box thinking. That's it.
Yeah, and there's a care for solving problems, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't like entrepreneur either, but I just come up with problems that I want to solve and do that and help people with it, and then they pay you.
Yeah.
Because that's fair. If they didn't pay you, you'd be a bit pissed off.
I had this guy come up to me in the gym and he said, "So what is it you actually do?" And I said, "Well, when I figured it out, I'll come and tell you." I said, I do what I like. I just enjoy what I do. I do a handful of things, and I think that, again, why I don't want to tie myself down. I don't want to tell you that I'm X, Y, and Z.
When we got to the gardener, came around to look at the thing yesterday. Sarah was like, "Here's the garden." He asked what we did, and she was like, "I look after the house and spend time with Jay." And he was like, "Oh, if you don't mind me asking, what does Jay do?" And she said, "He just tinkers about."
And I love that word tinker. I said that on my video the other day.
He just tinkers about.
Yeah. I like piddling about. I did that in a video the other day. I said, "Oh, I'm piddling about now." Love that. Right, next slide. So this is more things to consider going into the new world, right? So grab a surfboard because the wave is coming. The probability of being replaced is something that I think we all just need to stop and just pause and just prepare. I think it would be naive and a little bit stupid not to prepare. I watched a clip of Stephen Bartlett talking to, I think it was the CEO of Netflix, maybe, I can't remember who it was, and the guy said, "I always get in Uber cars and say to the Uber drivers, are you not worried about your job?" And they go, "No one knows the roads of London and New York like me." And he goes, yeah, and he's like, "Your job will be replaced." And not only that, the CEO, I think it was the CEO of Uber, because what is it, 6.7 million jobs are going to be lost? I mean, he's publicly said that as well.
Yeah.
And when you ask an Uber driver, "You're not worried about your job?" and they're like, "Nah, they'll never replace cars like us. We know the roads too well."
And they're all driving Teslas.
It's like, no,
Who've got the maps in them.
The machine knows the road better. The machine knows where there's been an accident half a mile down the road that you've got no idea about.
The machine didn't have to go around doing the knowledge on a scooter, memorising every road. Like for a taxi. It didn't have to do that. It's just programmed.
So, on that point, just stop and pause and think: am I in a process base? Is it repetitive? Could a machine do it? And what's the probability and the time length of that? Just again, it's just.
Oh, and if you're just working on a computer all day, yes, the answer is yes, it can.
Yeah.
It can do it.
I had a bit of a debate in the sauna. It's always in the sauna with a guy who is an architect, and I actually said to him, I said, "How do you feel about your job?" And he was like, "Oh, they won't replace architects." And I was like, I didn't go off of it. I thought because there's no point. Architects, because of the designs and yes, they can't be on site.
Yeah.
But the whole mathematical design of architecture.
Yeah.
Of course, it's all software.
Yeah, I think there will be I think creatives will hang on by a thread for a while, and then maybe creatives will have another win, because I think we'll want real art, particularly in music. I mean, like 40% of the Spotify number ones are AI, and no one knows because they've got fake AI Instagram accounts and all this kind of stuff, which is crazy. When you find out it's AI, you just won't want to listen to it anymore.
Agree.
And I think people will just want real creatives, and like Sir John Paul designed my villa. I think that will.
I think it will come back round.
Yeah.
I think we'll almost go through that prehistoric coming back, like a reset. They talk about the reset. Crunching your numbers on your financial future, super important. You talk a lot about that. Is knowing your numbers. If you have no idea about your numbers, how on earth can you plan for some form of freedom?
Yeah, well, there's just pension that you said in the beginning. I mean, people just don't do the numbers on pension.
No, it's actually horrifying. In the UK, for a couple of two to live comfortably, who are earning a combined salary of about 70,000, that a couple, if they do live until retirement, will need roughly in the UK 550,000 net to sustain their salaried lifestyle of what they have now. That's a huge amount. Most pensions never get.
The average pension pot today is about 87. With the state as well. So.
And in America, same is about 600,000 they need.
Right.
So it's a huge number to be paying into.
Well, if you've got 87 grand and you live till 78 and you retire at 68, you've got to make 87 grand last 10 years and then hope you die.
That is a lot of overtime for Steve.
Poor Steve, we love you, Steve.
We do. And then reduce expenses. Just a super simple one. Just cut out the stuff you don't need. That is what has served me so well.
Yeah.
I just do not spend money on things I just don't need. I just don't. Reduce expenses is one of the quickest ways to defend yourself financially. Anything
you can earn more disposable income from reducing your costs than you can from trying to go out and make more money, because it's easier to do that, right? So that's the first move. A lot of people, if you go through all your bank statements and everything and just cut out all of the hot spots and the debts, reduce that down, you can save 10, 30% of your disposable.
Yeah. And
immediately you're 30% up, 10% up.
Yeah, and notice something amongst people who have seen somewhat success financially. I don't know what t-shirt you're wearing, just a plain grey. This is, again, I need to be sponsored by Primark really now, I think, but this is Primark.
Yeah, I used to wear Primark actually.
Just plain.
If I find something that I like, I just buy about 20 of them in the same different colour, and that's it.
That's what I do. Literally I get grey, black, white, maybe a navy blue. Yeah. Learn new skills. Let's not sit on our hands. I think this is so important. Again, going back to what I said earlier, too many people are asking, well, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is start evolving. Start going from Charmander to Charmeleon. Come on, start learning something. That is one of the quickest ways for you to realise that you can start making your own money, is by actually evolving your brain. Yeah. And that is what needs to happen.
You put your money into your mind, and your mind fills your pockets.
Boom. Literally. And then build an income. When you learn this information, don't be a librarian, don't hoard it. Yeah. Actually, that's really the key factor, is learning something and then just trying it, giving it a go. Implement it.
Yeah. Share it, or even if you're sharing as you're learning, that's value to other people.
Transfer of information media, not social media.
Yeah.
And then just final point on this till we move to our last slide is prepare for mass unemployment and a post-labour economy. So this is coming. This isn't scaremongering. This is just a fact. I'm just going to say it very bluntly. We are moving towards a world where, yes, there will be mass unemployment. And you did a video on that, I think. What that looks like, I haven't got the answer, but let's cover off this last slide and then we'll talk a little bit about post-labour. I just want to get your take on that. So, no purpose or perspective. So the fully indoctrinated wage slaves, this is typically what that individual could look like, and again this might be self-reflection for you where you can make changes, which is why we address them head on. Bad money habits. So the need for immediate income if you have bad money habits, again survival mode, and a very reactive mode. We've spoken about this quite a bit where you make very quick decisions which can have quite big knock-on effects because you're in a reactive state, not a proactive, calm, collected, thinking clearly.
Yeah. I mean, if someone who's really struggling for money asks me about Bitcoin, and I say, well, you know, Bitcoin's doubled every year, say, which is way better than any return you're going to get on anything else. I'm not saying anyone should invest in Bitcoin, I'm just giving you an example, but they say, oh, so if I put 1,000 in, it'll only be 2,000 next year. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, that's crap. Well, what's the alternative? Like, how about go and make some more money then? Like, go and earn some more money, because it's way easier to go and earn more money than it is to try and chase financial freedom so quickly.
Go on the offense.
Yeah, just go and do it. So, if you're trying to escape to get financial freedom, to escape the life you're in, it's much easier to optimize the life you're in and make more money being happy there than it is to achieve financial freedom. It's actually, the position you're in is actually stopping you from achieving financial freedom. Because you're going to make silly decisions to get there. And you're actually going to jeopardize your chance of ever achieving it.
Yeah. Discipline's a big part of this. Like, you've got to really have self-mastery, like control over your decision making. Parent expectations. This is one, as someone who helps and coaches a lot of people to transition out the 9 to 5. This is a big one that I come across all the time. Is if I change the path that I'm on, or if I don't do this, not only parents but also other family members will look down upon me that I didn't follow their career or I didn't go into their business, and that's doing a job to keep your rents happy, and that will affect your overall happiness. So yeah, I've seen it a lot. I know you just said you had as well.
Yeah, I think trying to keep your parents happy is crazy.
Yeah.
Your life, they haven't got to spend every day with you, you have. So, like, the person you're spending the most time with on this earth in your life is you, so you have to bloody be happy with yourself. You know, you haven't got to answer to your parents, you've got to answer to you. So.
Yeah, and they're not always going to be about.
They're not always going to be about.
It's the truth. You're going to be left with that situation.
Yeah, unless your job is really affecting your parents as well. Like, you know, I see a lot of people go and do OnlyFans, or you know, and it's actually damaging to some of the parents' reputation. I don't know on that, but another example was I saw a woman who was breeding dogs, and you know, she got a lot of hate for breeding dogs, and her parents were being pulled into this whole like, you're breeding dogs, and they were getting hate. In the end, the woman changed her name online and like went alias, but
yeah, be smart, because that is true. You know, like,
you don't want to ruin your family over it.
Yeah, like, you want to do things from a good place. You know, that's what we're saying.
But when you lead by example and you prove, this is the thing where everyone goes wrong. If you just lead by example and prove that you can do it, your parents will be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My wife didn't want me to go into trading, right? But I just said, I'm doing this because I'm so sure I can do it. I did it, and then it's all fine. It all works itself out. No one's telling me I shouldn't have done it now.
Yeah.
You know. And the same, I think, the reason so many people feel like this is because they know that they're not going to do what's necessary. You know, and they're going to be another "I told you so." You know, told you so.
Which is why you should stay silent.
Stay silent. Yeah. Prove them wrong. Just prove yourself right. Prove yourself right.
Yeah.
And then that'll prove.
There's a great quote which is, "A lion never roars before the hunt. The lion only roars after the kill."
Yeah.
And it just paints that picture of, don't go around telling everyone.
Job's done now. There you go.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Title obsessed. That's you as a person. So really holding on to a title and not wanting to let go, because it's giving you a sense of validation.
Yeah.
You know, in society, because you feel that's, you know, and that's, you're not authentic. And I have put here, likely insecure. And the reason I put that is because I know too many people in my last job who, you could see it from a million miles off. they were just not happy with themselves, so they hid behind this title, and they were quite nasty to people. And you think, you've got issues, like there are deep issues you've not dealt with. And you could see a lie was being lived. So they held on and they used it almost like a shield to protect themselves from ever dealing with whatever's going on in their life, you know, whatever. But that's something I saw all the time. Or on the flip side, it's driven by ego and bragging and flexing rights. That's really, I find that the desire for a title typically lies with insecurity or
a lot of those. It'll just be their dad used to be really strict with them, or really like, you know, beat them or whatever, and that's where it's come from. It's that, you know, and you're trying to command your own. You think that that's leadership. And now you're just trying to bully your way into life. It's very tiring.
And final two, no children. So nothing in life, as I said earlier, is bigger than them, or often blinded what really matters in life. That's a big one for me. Is I've worked with a lot of graduate managers, a lot of operational managers, regional managers, all high up, sort of senior leaders, and I did see a pattern. The ones, because I'd always ask, when I saw the way they treated people, I would always get in there and I'd say, oh, have you got any children? And the reason I did that is because I noticed in my last place there was almost a hiring effect of, they brought on the very similar types of people, and that none of them had kids. So so I don't know about you, but when you have a child, if you're a good parent, you really adopt compassion and empathy. Like, I'm so much more empathetic than I was before I had my son. And I find that children can just, you're like, you know, if someone needs to nip off because their family has gone to hospital, you're just like, please nip off, like, oh my God, this is the job. Like, run to your family. You know, I don't know if you've got a take on that.
No, I mean, as I say, I had kids really young, and immediately I became more self-care, looking after myself more. It becomes not about you; it becomes about them, and you definitely more empathetic and more compassionate and more understanding about human feelings and all the rest of it, which will only make you a better leader. So, I wouldn't trust people who tell me what to do and don't have kids.
And then finally, no partner. This is just a quick one, really. Is that when you don't have a partner in the workplace, you are more likely to fall into wage slavery, because just the simple fact you don't actually have anyone to rush home to, and work becomes their family. So if you don't have anyone to go home to, we're not telling you to go out and find a partner immediately, because the likelihood is now, if you go on a dating site, it will be an AI and you'll be catfished, because that's the other problem people have got now. My God, I wouldn't want to be dating and doing all that. But when you don't have a partner, you are more susceptible to falling into work, family, life. And that's a very slippery slope to go down. So that's the summary of No Purpose or Perspective. Final point, I do just want to touch on this post-labour economy. So if people are able to get out of their job, great, they've built something for themselves, but how do you actually protect, with everything that's going on and AI being such, you know, at the forefront, like even with what we do, obviously we adopt it, but what do you think might happen?
Well, I think everyone's laying everyone off at the moment and trying to replace them with AI, which is all good. It makes the business really profitable, but who's going to buy the products if everyone's broke and unemployed, you know? So I think what will happen is, yes, there'll be a lot of layoffs in the next 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 years. And then as people start to realise this is really happening, as you said at the beginning, because it really is happening, there'll be a shift in what jobs look like, right? So if you're currently in the position now where you are just working for a corporate and you're not willing to go out and do what's necessary, which I'll talk about in a sec, you will then just be shifted from blue collar work, or what? Actually, blue collar work will be safer than white collar work. But if you're a white collar worker, now you'll just be a blue collar AI operator or something, where you just where it'll be a job where anyone can do it. You know, anyone can be trained on it in a week, and you'll just be managing AI apps. So your income will go down, and of course there's going to be like all different ramifications of that. Like costs will go down, you know, taxes will go down, everything will go down. That's a long way off, and you don't really want to be stuck just managing some AI software particularly, very low. You'll still be bottom of the food chain. So what you want to focus on now is knowledge and skills and service and coaching and real physical, like in-person things. Meaningful things where human interaction experiences, learning about it, investing. You want to invest your money. You want to own assets, digital assets, business data, all that kind of stuff. That's where you want to move into now. Yeah. And the best way you can do that is just start going out online.
YouTube
people,
has a big future. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking into what YouTube's future looks like.
YouTube is really penalising AI because if you look at it, right, think about when you upload a video on YouTube, right? It's so clunky. They could easily go, right, click a button and get all your thumbnails. Click a button and get all your description. They haven't done that.
I hope they never.
Click a button and do all your titles and all this kind of stuff, right? And the timestamps. It's so clunky. You're having to still type it all in. And it's deliberate because they're penalising AI videos. They're already demonised the whole monetization of AI created videos, so you can't monetize an AI voiceover anymore. And they want real creators who are engaging with people and teaching people and helping people. I love that about YouTube, and that ain't going anywhere.
And that's where I do think the whole reset of people wanting people.
Yeah.
I even think events will pick up eventually because people will be so sick of not knowing what's real. They'll be like, I need to physically touch someone. I need to know you're real so I can have an actual meaningful conversation, learn from someone. Right? I do think that will
when you read something on ChatGPT or any AI platform or whatever, you're reading it, it's just theory in your head. Whereas if someone tells you it, it's a real experience that they've had. And then that is the trust. You trust that. You don't trust the words. Yeah. Even if it's the same information.
I heard someone the other day saying they're doing a ChatGPT detox, and I thought that's going to be really common, where they felt like they'd lost their critical thinking because they've given so much away, where they're like, I'm not even thinking anymore, and I've been guilty of that. But okay, well look, this is an incredible podcast. We've covered off a hell of a lot. We've done a lot. So
6 hours and 30 minutes.
That's including the training session we did today, though. But that's on the website. So look, I think summary is the system is designed the way it is. Okay, we touched on that. There's not a lot you can do early doors, but what we have exposed here is the way that you can reframe your outlook, the things that you can do. You can actively take control of it, and you can proactively go on the offense rather than giving away control. I think just take accountability of where you are and know that if you dedicate 12 months is not a long period of time if you go hard on yourself.
Flies.
It does fly, and 12 months can literally change your life and your family's life. Yeah. But you have to be so dedicated and zero distractions and stop getting caught up in what war's going on and cut off the news. That's my final piece of advice. Have you got any closing words?
I just follow on that, I suppose. The distractions create better habits, because the only reason you're not doing anything that you want to do is because you're not doing the habits that get you there. And that does take a few weeks of, instead of scrolling, I'm going to work on this, or instead of scrolling, I'm going to prep my meals, and you have to just get into that habit. All it is a choice of doing that over that. Once you do that for a few weeks, it becomes a habit, and then you're on a roll. That's it. It's just habits. See it as little tiny things. You just got to change. Once that starts, the momentum starts, and then you've got a completely different trajectory of your life.
Do you remember, just finally, before we close it off, we did those numbers about the average doom scroll was 4 hours a day, 9 till 1 in the morning, something
a month
like
a year
that.
or something.
43 days a year. But basically, you lose January and a bit of February.
And we're now in March already. Yeah.
That's mad. So look, everyone, make sure you check out Jason's channel, Jason Greystone. It'll be linked in the description. Always free. Not part-time free, not semi-free, always free. So until next time, I feel like the next one, mate, maybe a bit of a teaser. I'd like to do a deep dive on how incredible YouTube is. Like a real deep dive of this platform, how it's the mothership, and it's not oversaturated, and we'll give all of our tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff.
Let us know if you want that.
Yeah. So until next time, do hit like and subscribe if you want to. Go check us both out on social media, and
Type YouTube into the comments if you want that video.
there we go. Yeah, and we will absolutely smash another podcast. So until then, we'll see you all very soon. Peace out. Where are we? Boom. Amazing. Oh, that's got to be our longest.
That was long,
Oh,
2 hard drives.
Jesus. Oh, stiff as a board.
God. Stiff as a board. I tell you what, my glutes are
Oh, stiff as a board.
Right. Let's, are these still streaming, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, my neck.
I'm just going to transfer.
Smashed a wicked podcast and an absolute killer of a session.
Yeah. It's good, that was.
Mate, that
Cheeky
session, that's one that brings the vascularity out.
Yeah.
Because you're forcing it to pop.
God, there's no, it's unforgiving doing legs like that.
So are you not having any cheat meals at all? Are you not setting a, like, I'll have one in a...
No, I did have, when I did my DEXA scan, I commissioned some brownies and blondies from my sister-in-law. She brought them round.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I ate them. I was just like, oh, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done it for so long.
It
I was
makes
like,
you
I'm not
think...
doing that again.
No, because it does havoc.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go to end of May, and then I'll do a big pizza day. But yeah, long time. Man. I'm going to the Maldives next month, but I can train and eat really healthy there. It's just fish and salads and stuff. So.
And when you've got the heat, it's nice as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And I snorkel all day, so like the exercise will be those.
When I hit, if you and Sarah want to come, when I hit 100k,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a meal.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah,
I'm
that'd be
gonna
good.
celebrate the 100k one because I feel like I need to. I went for obviously Feb. I did about 13,500. No, closer to 14 actually. It was just shy of 14,000 between Jan and Feb.
Right.
So I pushed it, but it's a tough cookie.
Yeah. You don't really use this middle cam, do you?
I will, because Mac will split us.
Right.
He'll put us.
Okay, so that's part one. It's a bit of a pain you have to do it too. So, video
what I
five,
will do,
part one.
because I'll probably get the editor to do the thumbnail on this one. I will get a photo of us.
Yeah.
Because it's easier. Right, everyone. I need my phone back.
Jason Cam part one.
Right, guys. I'm off.
Part one.
Thanks for joining us. Hey everyone. Great to have you here. Awesome. YouTube was so active on